Yo, welcome back everybody to a brand new video here on the second channel, and today I've got a Destined Rivals deck profile video for you all. I'm hoping that I can get more of these deck profile videos out on different archetypes from the brand new set over the course of the next 2 weeks, really. And today we're going to be looking at the Ethan's Typhlosion deck, and my current take on this deck and why I think this deck does have potential. It might be the best new one prize deck in the format, as Typhlosion is a very powerful card. Now, of course, if y'all are new here to the channel and enjoy the deck profile videos, make sure to leave a like on the video. I'd greatly appreciate here show your support on these deck profiles so I could do more of them, because I do have a lot more Destined Rivals deck profile videos I do want to make leading up to the release of the set. So the video does well and y'all want to see more of them, I'll keep cranking them out. But yeah, today we're going to be looking at the brand new Ethan's Typhlosion. I think this card is good. Like I said, probably one of the better one prize decks in the format, maybe even the best one prize deck in the format. And this is my current take on how I've built the deck and why I have certain inclusions in here and all of that stuff. So starting things off, we can get into the Pokemon lineup here. So, of course, we do have ourselves our 3 copies of Typhlosion. This is the main attacker of the deck. It's got the attack Buddy Blast that does 40 plus 60 more damage for each Ethan's Adventure card in your discard pile. So if you discard all 4 Ethan's Adventure, you're now doing 280 damage with Typhlosion. You can see why this card is so strong, right? For 1 energy, you have the potential to do 280 damage. Now, Ethan's Adventure is a pretty good supporter, and we'll talk about what Ethan's Adventure does, because it's actually easy to get the Ethan's Adventure, and that's because of the Quilava. Now, we are going to be playing 4 copies of Quilava here, but this new Quilava does have the ability, Bonded by the Journey. Once during your turn, you can search your deck for an Ethan's Adventure, reveal it, and put it in your hand. So when you get a bunch of Quilavas on the board, you can search your deck for a bunch of Ethan's Adventures, play one of them, discard the others with like Ultra Ball and stuff, get them in the discard pile as quick as possible, and then you can turn your Quilavas effectively into the Typhlosion, and then you can start swinging with Buddy Blast. That is the whole concept of the deck here. It kind of gives you a bit of like, not really a draw engine, because you're not drawing cards, and we'll get into why I play a certain other card in this deck to support this deck, because while Quilava is a very strong card, it has a great ability. If you have like 3 of these in play, you can search your deck for 3 Ethan's Adventures and always have them in your hand to play them. You're not really drawing in that many cards. We'll talk about how I've kind of remedied that a little bit. But yeah, Typhlosion is really good. If you can get this going quickly over the course of a couple turns, you're going to be swinging really hard with Buddy Blast, and your opponent is going to be struggling to keep up with the onslaught of Typhlosion, especially when Typhlosion is knocking stuff out in one hit, which, you're most likely going to be doing at a certain point in the game. And of course, to support the deck, we are going to be playing the 4 Cyndaquil to go with it. We have to play the Ethan Cyndaquil, kind of a no-brainer. But that is the Pokemon lineup that I have right now. I do like the 3-4-4 line. You could go down to 3 Quilava in fairness, but I think you want to play 4 of them. You want to get the Quilavas down as quick as possible so you can constantly funnel Ethan's Adventure cards into your hand. And honestly, you know what? Before we get into the rest of the Pokemon, I guess we can look at what Ethan's Adventure does, because it is one of the main important cards of the deck here. So Ethan's Adventure is a supporter that allows you to search your deck for 3 of any combination of Ethan's Pokemon and basic Fire Energy and put them in your hand. This card is really powerful at supporting a Fire Engine deck like this one. So basically, this card can get you a bunch of, Ethan's Evolution Pokemon. You're going to be getting all your Cyndaquils, your Quilavas, you're going to get your Typhlosions with Ethan's Adventure. So you're just going to be grabbing this card with Quilava, put it in your hand. You're either going to play one of them so that you can use it to get more Pokemon, or you're going to use something like an Ultra Ball to discard the Ethan's Adventure so they're in the discard really quickly, and then you can come in swinging with Typhlosion. And you can grab a bunch of them really quickly with Quilava. I mean, by your 3rd turn of the game, there's a possibility you could already be swinging for 280 damage if your setup is really, really good. So obviously, we're going to be playing 4 copies of the Ethan. So, like I said, though, while the deck is powerful, while it has a lot of consistency behind it with finding what you're trying to do with Quilava's ability, the deck doesn't draw many cards. It doesn't have a draw engine. Ethan's Adventure is not a draw supporter, and if you're not drawing cards, you're not really keeping up with cards like Iono. And while you don't have to, because the Ethan's engine is so strong, you don't really have to rely on, getting an Iono, because you can constantly use Ethan to find your Pokemon. It's still not great, and I think this deck does need a secondary attacker or an extra engine to support the draw on the deck. So for that, I am indeed going to be playing Dragapult in here. Now, keep in mind, I'm only playing one Dragapult. Dragapult EX is not the main attacker. This is not a Dragapult deck. This is essentially the same thing as playing Dragapult in the Goldengo deck. It's in the deck. The option to use it is there, but you're mostly just trying to use Dracloak in this deck. This is your main card of the deck. We're not really trying to use Dragapult. Dragapult is in there, and I know some of y'all are not really big fans of this card. I know, but I think this deck has a lot of good synergy with Dracloak itself. So the problem, once I said, with this deck is Ethan's Adventure doesn't really work that well to draw you cards. While you're grabbing all your Ethan's cards, you're not really, advancing your hand size or anything. This is where the Dracloaks come in handy. Your board can just be a bunch of Dracloaks and Kolavas. Dracloak can draw you the cards. You can use Dracloak's Recon Directive ability to look at the top two cards of your deck, put one in your hand, the one at the bottom. Dracloak is a great way to draw cards. So you have Ethan's Adventure and Quilava to get that combo going so you can set up for Typhlosion. You have Dracloak drawing you cards. And if you want, you can use a Dragapult in your deck. If you want to have a way to take extra prize cards, you can, go into Phantom Dive. This deck is going to be playing a couple Psychic Energy. You already play the Fire Energy for the Typhlosion. You may as well play the Fire Energy, and then you can use the Dragapult alongside it. So yeah, I know some of y'all might not be happy to see a Dragapult in this deck, but I think you have to play a Androgen in this deck, and I think that literally Dracloak and Dragapult is quite literally the best option for this build. Like I said, it's not a Dragapult deck. You're probably not going to use Dragapult that many games, but the option to use it is there if you need it. You're mostly a Typhlosion deck that needs Dracloak to draw cards. And I mean, once you set up a good board of Kolavas and Dracloaks, you're just drawing so many cards. You're seeing a lot of cards. You're thinning a lot of cards out of the deck also with Ethan's Adventure, which is also really, really good. So you are able to kind of funnel through your deck really quickly with this. And I think it makes a lot of sense to play the Pult in the deck. Now, another card that we do have within this deck is one copy of Budew. While you're just kind of sitting there building up your Ethan's Adventures in your discard pile, you might as well try to slow down your opponent with Itchy Pollen to buy a couple turns. This allows you to set up better plays down the road, because I feel like this deck is a little bit slow. It's not like a fast deck, right? Like, you're literally trying to just sit there and spam Kolava's ability and put Ethan's Adventure cards in your hand in the discard pile. You're probably not going to be swinging with Buddy Blast with Typhlosion probably until, like, your, third or fourth turn at most. This is where having the Budew is good. You can just sit there and Itchy Pollen your opponent while you build up your Ethan's Adventures, you build up your board, and then once, they deal with the Budew, you just come in with the Typhlosion, you take some prizes. So yeah, I know some of y'all might be happy to see a Budew in here, but I mean, it makes most amount of sense to play Budew in this deck. Again, it feels like it's a natural inclusion within this deck. Just to be able to buy some time to build up your board and build up your Ethan's Adventures in your discard pile. Because like I said, I think the deck is a little bit too slow without something like a Budew in the deck. So that's why we're going to be playing that. That is all of the Pokemon. Let's get into the supporters and trainers now. So obviously, like I said, for Ethan's Adventure, it is the main supporter card of the deck. It's the one that we want to be using the most. In all fairness, we want to be discarding it as quick as possible for our Typhlosion. We want to be playing them, setting up our board even more. It's a pretty solid supporter card. Like, even though it is discard fodder, cannon fodder for your Typhlosion, it's not even a terrible supporter card. So obviously, we're going to have to play 4 of those. We want to max out the counts. I'm also going to be playing 4 copies of Arven. It's another bit of it's a setup supporter, but it does allow you to find your Buddy Poffins, your tool cards. There's a very important tool card in this deck that I decided to put into the 60 to support the Typhlosion. So Arven is going to make it easier to find said tool cards. And I think it's a good consistency card overall, in my opinion. We're going to be playing 3 Iono for more draw. Iono's just a good card. I mean, playing 3 just makes sense in here. So got 3 copies of Iono. I am playing 1 Research within the deck, too. Research is, a decent little card. If you have a small hand, you can play it if you're not sacrificing many cards. Also, it's a way to discard Ethan's Adventure, right? Discard your hand, draw 7 cards. You can use Research and discard those Ethan's Adventures to put them in the discard pile pretty quickly. And it's just a nice consistency supporter card. And then finally, 2 Bosses Order. Obviously, we're going to play Gust in this deck. We're just going to play 2 Boss. Pretty straightforward stuff there. That is the supporter count. Not really much more to explain. I don't really know if there's any other supporter cards you could really play in here. I mean, I guess you could play like a Morty's Conviction, which can also discard an Ethan's Adventure, but the supporter count seems fine in my opinion. I think it's pretty good. everything kind of pulls its weight, and I think it's a pretty solid supporter lineup here. All right, into the items now. Obviously, we're going to play 4 Buddy Poffin. Everything is Poffinable. Budu, Cyndaquil, Dreepy. Can all get them with a Buddy Poffin. So we're going to play 4 Poffins just to set up our board even quicker. We're going to obviously play 4 Ultra Ball. Ultra Ball is a great way to discard Ethan's Adventure. You can literally play Quilava, grab like 2 Ethan's Adventures, and you can Ultra Ball 2 of them away for free while grabbing a Pokemon of your choice, like a Typhlosion or a Dracloak or something. So Ultra Ball is really good in this deck. It's just one of the best cards in the deck. Like, I know it's like you kind of have to play an Ultra Ball. Like, by default, you're already going to be playing one within the deck anyways. But, like I said, Ultra Ball is one of the strongest cards within the deck just because it synergizes so nicely with Ethan's Adventure and Typhlosion. I am playing 1 Nest Ball in the deck, too. Just another Pokemon search card. Not really much more to explain on that one. We're not playing Pheasantipity in the deck. So I could see the Nest Ball definitely getting cut. You just rely on Poffin, but I like having the 1 of Nest Ball for the extra consistency. All right, we do have a lot of niche 1 of cards here. We'll start off with the Redeemable Ticket. So count the prize cards, or count your prize cards, shuffle them and put them at the bottom of your deck, then take that many cards from the top of your deck and put them as your face-down prizes. So basically what this card does is it allows you to swap your prizes. Now, the reason why we want to be doing this is because if we prize an Ethan's Adventure. So if we prize Ethan's Adventure, we're not going to be able to do as much damage with Typhlosion. We want to make sure all 4 are in the deck. If we end up prizing 1 or 2 of them, well, Typhlosion isn't going to be hitting us hard. So we just play the Redeemable Ticket. So, okay, well, ideally what you do first is you Quilava all of the Ethan's Adventures in your deck into your hand, and then you play the Redeemable Ticket so that you don't swap Ethan's Adventures in and out of the prize cards. So you play the ticket, you put the Ethan's Adventure cards out of your prizes back into your deck, and then you can Quilava, search them out, and then discard them, and then just like that, this card got you Ethan's Adventure cards back in the discard pile that you ended up prizing. It will happen. I mean, you're going to probably be playing a lot of games with this deck, and you're probably going to have a couple games, most likely where you prize an Ethan's Adventure or 2, and you're like, oh, dang it, now my Typhlosion isn't hitting as hard, but then you have the Redeemable Ticket in the deck to redeem yourself and actually keep up and put more Ethan's back in your deck. So really good card to have in here. You're not going to use it all the time, but when you do use it, it's mainly just because you need to get these guys out of your prizes. Going to play 1 copy of Switch because Switch is a pretty good card. I got a Super Rod to get your Pokemon back. I got 1 Earthen Vessel. Another really powerful card is Earthen Vessel because it discards a card from your hand. You honestly don't really have to use it as often as you think because technically you have Ethan's Adventure to find your energy, well, your fire energies anyways, but plan to play it anyways because it's just a nice way to discard Ethan's Adventures if you don't have an Ultra Ball or maybe you don't want to play an Ultra Ball for some reason. So I'm going to play 1 copy of Earthen Vessel, 1 rare candy. We are playing Stage 2 Pokemon. Going to make sense to play a candy. Because the way our deck is built, though, where, like, the Stage 1 Pokemon are, like, extremely good, we don't actually have to play, like, 4 rare candy. Because we're not really trying to use rare candy that often in this deck. Because, like I said, we have really good Stage 1 Pokemon that is basically the engine of the deck. But it doesn't hurt to have a candy anyways, try to cheat out a Pokemon. You can actually use it to cheat out a Dragapult or a Typhlosion, and then you can keep Quilava / Dracloak in play on your bench without having to evolve it. So playing 1 candy does make sense in here. And then finally, I am playing a Counter Catcher, Extra Gust. Also, because we're a bit of a slower deck, right, we're taking a couple turns to build up our discard pile, it makes sense to play a Counter Catcher. Not going to lie, I wouldn't hate 2 copies of this card. You could probably maybe cut the Nest Ball for a 2nd copy of Counter Catcher. 2 Counter Catcher doesn't seem bad in here because we don't have, like, I mean, we have the Dracloaks to find boss, but yeah, a Counter Catcher, like a 2nd Counter Catcher, honestly wouldn't be terrible. So I can definitely see you playing 2 copies of Counter Catcher. Stadiums, I am playing 2 Artisan to get Pokemon out. If you also end up getting Itchy Pollen before you can play Buddy Poffin and you cannot find your Dreepies and Cyndaquils as easily, that's why we have an Artisan in the deck, so we can try to get out our Pokemon a bit easier, so we don't have to worry about Cyndaquil being, you know, unable to be put in a play or whatever. I got a couple tools in here. I am playing a Team Evo and a Rescue board. Team Evo because we have a lot of evolutions, a lot of Stage 1s. If for whatever reason we're not doing Budu, we can always go Team Evo, put out a couple Quilavas, and a Rescue board, just have a nice little fruit tree pivot. Also makes it easier to go in a turn on Budu. And then finally, the ace spec of the deck, we have Maximum Belt. Yeah, Max Belt is going to be the ace spec of choice. The reason why we're playing Max Belt is because it lets Typhlosion do 320 or 330 damage, sorry, if all 4 Ethans are in the discard. So you can one-shot Dragapult, and you can one-shot Charizard and Grim Snarly with this max belt, which is why we're going to be playing max belt as the ace spec. I don't really know if there's a better ace spec, like maybe Secret Box could be kind of cute, I guess. But max belt, to me, makes sense because it lets Typhlosion hit even harder when you're just short on KOs on those Pults and Charizards. Also, max belt, funnily enough, is good with Dragapult. You put this on your Dragapult, you can actually Phantom Dive for 250, which I don't know if you're going to use that much, but there's a world where you might end up Phantom Diving for 250 damage, just saying. So, Max Belt, I think, is the best ace spec for this deck, because Typhlosion can hit even harder. That's why we're playing 4 Arven in the deck, because Max Belt is in here. And finally, the energy count. I got 5 basic Fire and 2 basic Psychic Energy. A lot of lists I saw were playing 4 Fire. That felt a little bit too low. Fire energy isn't that hard to find in this deck, literally because of Ethan's Adventures. You don't have to, like, go overkill, but I think 5 is a pretty good amount. Yeah, I think 5 makes most amount of sense. Then 2 Psychic seems good, too, for your Dragapult. You could play 1 Psychic Energy and 5 Fire if you want also, because, like I said, you're not always using Dragapult, but Dragapult is in the deck, and we might as well try to lean into it a little bit, so I'm going to play 2 Psychic Energy. Also, you could prize your Psychic. I know you have Redeemable Ticket, though, so, like, yeah, I honestly could see 1 Psychic being in the deck over the 2, but I like having the 2 just for the extra consistency of having an extra energy in the deck. And yeah, that's the energy count. Not much more to talk about. You can play Luminous Energy, I guess, too, but I think that is fine how it is. And there you go, folks. That is my Ethan's Typhlosion deck profile. I'm really excited to try this deck out when it comes out. I think it's, like I said, the best single price deck from Destined Rivals. One of the best new single price decks in the format. There's a lot of potential for Ethan's Typhlosion. It might even be good with Goldenga, which is another deck I'm excited to hopefully play soon because I'm a huge Goldenga enjoyer. But I hope you enjoyed the video on the Ethan's Adventure Typhlosion deck. Again, if you want to see more deck profile videos, leave a like in the video. Greatly appreciate it, and I'll catch you on another video here very soon. Bye-bye.